Hello everyone, I'll be talking about problems in performance appraisals and how I've experienced them in the workplace and some solutions I came up with. So what exactly are performance appraisals? Well, they are the formalized means of assessing worker performance in comparison to certain established organizational standards. And for the individual workers, it is the foundation for pay increases, promotions, performance feedback, kind of tying to strengths and weaknesses, and also helps them attain work goals. On the other hand, for supervisors, it is necessary to use appraisals to give accurate feedback, as well as decide promotions, demotions, and also see if there's anyone to fire. For the organization, appraisals provide a means of assessing individual productivity and recognizing and/or motivating their workers. So now on to the real-life work-related problem that I have. I am the manager at the business that I work at, and we recently conducted peer, supervisor, subordinate, and self-appraisals. And I noticed across the board there was inconsistencies in most of the employee ratings, and also in my personal evaluations, I found myself assessing all employees much harsher than some of my peers and subordinates. At times, I have definitely generalized employee performance based on one or a few positive or negative actions or behaviors. Looking through the textbook helped me find some explanations on the answer to this question. What causes these biases in performance appraisals? So first, there's the halo effect. It occurs when an appraiser makes overall positive appraisals of workers on the basis of one known positive characteristic or action. On the other hand, there's the reverse halo effect. This occurs when an overall negative performance appraisal is made on the basis of one instance of failure or one negative characteristic. Then there are severity errors, when an appraiser tends to rate employees on the low end of performance scales, giving generally negative appraisal. Also, the textbook explains how understanding these potential errors in the performance appraisal process can make it easier to develop the means to produce appraisals with little to no room for rater bias problems. Now I'll be discussing the journal article that I chose entitled Preventing Rater Biases in 360-Degree Feedback by Forcing Choice. It discusses how to prevent rater biases using 360-degree feedback and a forced choice method. To preface, 360-degree feedback is a method of gathering performance appraisals from a worker's supervisors, subordinates, peers, customers, and other relevant parties. The forced choice method of appraisal calls for groups of descriptive statements and asks the appraiser to select one phrase from each group that best describes a particular employee. In this method, the individual has to make a decision as there is no neutral or no answer options. This was a large study conducted in the UK with a sample size of 4,675 individuals. It consisted of managers, bosses, peers, and subordinates that all participated. The research question was, in organizational appraisals, does using the forced choice method statistically control for biases after they occurred? The objective of the study was to examine the extent that 360-degree appraisals of competencies are subject to biases, examine the nature of these biases, and explicitly compare a forced choice method to single stimulus responses. This was a correlational study with the predictor variable being inventory of management competencies assessment administered in two formats, either the Likert scale or the multi-dimensional forced choice method. The criterion variable was bias control and prevention. Some of the findings were the analysis of this study's large 360-degree appraisals demonstrated just how strong rating distortions are while using single stimulus methods like the Likert scales. Also, collecting forced choice rankings of target behaviors showed impressive validity in a reduction of rater biases compared to single stimulus ratings. As for the solutions I came up with for my workplace problem, I put myself in the shoes of an IO site consultant and determined and figured out kind of what I should be implementing. So first, I would improve the job's performance appraisal techniques by implementing the use of the forced choice method in job appraisal forms in order to reduce the team's chances of making any bias or errors, for example, halo effect, severity error, etc. Second, I would train all employees about bias prevention, spreading awareness of the halo effect that can occur when completing appraisals. Third, I would make sure that the manager's standard of performance criteria is in line with other leaders so that she has a better control over any possible severity errors in her own evaluations. Lastly, I would assess the manager's appraisal quality and offer any additional training in areas that she could improve in. Thank you for watching!